Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in to Comma Speaks. And today I have a guest that actually met via Facebook and speaking to his I would say his motivational coach, if that's the right word. Ruben West introduced us and said, hey, he would be a great fit for the show. And from watching him, he definitely is. So I'm happy to have Cicone Prince on my show. Welcome to Comma Speaks.
Well, thank you, Kama. How are you doing today?
I am doing well, thank you. I'm going to read your bio so people can know a little bit about you before I give you the floor.
Okay.
All right. Cicone Prince is a motivational speaker, author, and entrepreneur. For the past 13 years, he has served as the president and CEO of 3D Solution Providers, LLC. The business experience has served as a classroom for developing content for his motivational speaking. With an associate's degree in electronic and bachelor's degree in electronic engineering, Mr. Prince has used his love of learning to continue educating himself to the area of 3D animation. His company, 3D Solution Providers, which is 3DSP, produces high-end graphics and 3D animations for their clients, serving a range of customers from say that for me, impartial, I'm saying it wrong. I'm sorry.
Impresario
Promotion and design to the city of Mobile. 3DSP prides themselves in providing 3D solutions that illustrates our clients' vision of the future in 3D. Mr. Prince is also an author of an ebook called Are You Smart Enough to Play Dumb? And it's available on Amazon.com, as well as the upcoming web series entitled Motivation Plus, which focuses on personal and professional development. Mr. Prince is married to Yolanda Prince, and they have 5 children: Marcellus, Christine, Jessica, Taylor, and Jonathan. And I want to again welcome Cicone to my show, and I want you to just go in and just tell us, what is your focus when you come and you go out and you motivate?
Well, Kama, my focus when I go out and motivate is to help people develop their own personal identity. I focus on personal development, and I do that primarily by asking questions that only they can answer. Our slogan is introducing you to yourself.
Love it.
And that whole process actually started for me like when I was in college, and I found myself looking at my relationships and the stuff that I was going through, and I started asking myself questions. See, in fact, for me, it's not just what people do, but it's why they do it. Mm-hmm. That's the important part. Because oftentimes people will just look at someone's actions, they don't look at the root cause of what they're doing. And of course, if you ask the average person, do you know yourself? They'll say, sure, I know myself. But the reality is, do you really? Have you asked yourself questions as to why you do certain things? Some people are just so easy to say, well, that's just the way I am. Well, I know for myself, I couldn't do that. I couldn't just like accept my actions as being a part of my DNA. I had to find out why. Why did I react? In particular, in my relationships, I noticed that in about 80% of the relationships I had been in, the female was the one that ended the relationship. So I started asking myself a question. I said, why? Cicone, why is it that in a relationship that you're involved in, that you hold on for dear life? What is it about you that is so forgiving and that gives a second chance? And I started a journey of self-discovery. I started a journey of looking at what went into making me who I was. And I had to go back and look at my past and look at my upbringing, like the relationship I had with my mom. And all those factors played in to making me who I am today. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes people, they don't take the time to do that sort of assessment until they're forced to. And see, my thing is, you can get a better understanding of yourself when you're not in an argument, in a heated situation, if you just take the time to ask yourself certain key questions that will help you understand how you got the way you are. You know, I'm reminded
Mhm.
of a story I heard about Tyler Perry, where he mentioned that he had been like molested as a child, and
Mhm.
he was on a date with this woman, and they came back to his place, and kind of one thing led to another, and she turned the lights off, and he got upset. I mean, he got mad to the point to where she had to turn the lights on and calm him down. And what he had to admit was that the molestations that he had occurred in the dark. And so that was a trigger for him. So when the lights went out, he reverted back to those feelings and those experiences. My
Mhm.
point is that what he went through left an indelible mark on him. And us as individuals, we don't oftentimes take time to look at what went into making us who we are.
Mhm.
And thus we do ourselves a disservice by not taking the time to really find out who we are.
Yes, yes. And it's so true. I'm starting a nonprofit called Loving Me First
Right.
because it starts with us. And the only way we can even love somebody, we have to love who we are and we have to discover who you are. So all this really, really goes together. When you were younger, was this something was this a path that you seen yourself going on as a young child, or was this something that you seen into your adulthood that you realized, you know what, I have a message and I need to get it out?
Well, this definitely happened later in life in my adulthood as I, of course, being married, having kids, and and everything that comes with that. I really started to discover things about myself.
Mhm.
For instance, I found out that I have a phobia, and I consider it to be a good one, and that is I'm afraid not to be there for my family. I mean, if
Wow.
I go somewhere, if I go traveling, if I go on a trip, and if there's any possibility of me being able to come home early or sooner, I take it
Mhm.
because, and there again, going back, to my childhood, being raised by a single mother, I saw my mom have to fend for herself and do a lot of stuff on her own. And for
Yes.
me, I never wanted my wife to be in that position, to be
Yes.
in that condition. And
Yes.
so, I mean, I would say that I go out of my way to try to be there for my family. I know there are times when I can't. I know there are times when, in fact, when they're work and when there are other duties that call, but my family is a priority for me. And
Oh,
as I said, I had to understand why. And that stemmed from, me being raised in a single parent household and seeing how my mom had to fend for herself. And so that really helped mold and shape me in that area of my life. So it was late on in life, when I really started to understand that I had a message, to share, if not just the average person, but even with entrepreneurs and small business owners. Having a small business definitely put me in a position to realize that I didn't know everything. And thus the title of my book, Are You Smart Enough to Play Dumb?
well,
Which
well,
was, I'm sorry?
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, in fact, the book, entitled "Are You Smart Enough to Play Dumb?" It's a
Mhm.
guide for starting and running a small business, and it's geared toward the headstrong entrepreneurs that really that think that they know everything, but the reality is that their knowledge is limited, and they have to be
Okay.
able to trust someone else. And in the book, I go in depth, with the need for having an like mentors or even an advisory board, joining local organizations, being able to network, in fact, but also implementing the instructions that people who have done what you're trying to do,
Mhm.
implementing what they give you.
Mhm.
And that's a good segue even into my, in fact, motivational speaking, because I've been doing motivational speaking for the past 3 years. But
Okay.
last year, I realized that I had gone as far as I could go on my own, and I
Mhm.
needed I needed to get around somebody that knew more than I did, and I need to be
Yes.
quiet long enough to learn something.
Yes. Yes.
And that's where Ruben West came.
Yes. You know what? And you said something that, again, we're the connection. For me, I was trying to do everything on my own. It is very hard. And for those entrepreneurs that are out there listening, and those that are wanting to become an entrepreneur or working in your purpose, it's only so far, like he said, that you're going to get. And you're going to get to a point where you can either stay stagnant or you can actually move up and break through. It's going to be up to you. So you were able to meet the awesome Ruben West. How has that been for you, working with him for the last, you said, year, right?
Well, I've been working with him officially like for the past 5 months.
Okay.
But I had a chance to connect with Ruben via Facebook, and we actually met last year at a conference, Power Network conference in Dallas, Texas. But Ruben has been phenomenal. And what I mean by that is his passion for making sure that we get everything that we need, our black belt speakers. And I literally call them family. You know, we went from being a black belt speakers team to a black belt speakers family last weekend. We did a live training in Bloomington, Illinois. And that has been, I mean, such a powerful event and training because it helps us to understand the importance of packing our toolbox
Yes.
with the information and stuff that we need in order to be able to be an effective and impactful speakers. One of the things that Ruben teaches us about is making an experience, not just a speech, but providing our listeners with an experience. We do that through stories, illustrations, quotes, and there are certain techniques, in fact, that he's taught us, which have just been, I mean, just phenomenal. My speeches have literally taken a quantum leap by being a part of this Black Belt Speakers class.
Wow. Well, that's always awesome. That's awesome to be able to know that you still have room for growth.
Yes.
I heard Les Brown back in January. He was out here in my city and he was speaking. And as he was speaking, he started talking about his mentor. And I'm like, how does Les Brown have a mentor? Don't he have it together? But it just proves and shows that you always need someone, no matter what your status is, because that's what's going to keep you on your feet, no matter what it is. So you have Ruben West, which I heard about the event. I heard that it was an awesome event, and he is grooming some powerful speakers out of there. I had the pleasure to interview Justin last week, and he was just excited. He was really excited for the experience. Now, let me ask you, since you've been working with Ruben, and it's going to be a two-part question. So since you've been working with Ruben, have you been on the stage since you've worked with him?
As far as me speaking,
Speaking,
yes,
have you been speaking? You have, okay. So the question is, you said after this weekend, things have taken a quantum leap, but do you see the difference from just a few months ago you spoke to, did my computer pause? Did you hear me okay?
Yeah, it paused for 1 second. I heard you.
Okay. Okay. Well, what I was saying was, from when you were doing this on your own to the last time you spoke, how much more confident do you see yourself now that you have help? And the reason why I'm asking this is because there are many people out there that feel like they don't need that. They just feel like they'll just watch some tapes, they'll just keep trying, and they don't need to get with someone to seek counsel for them to move to that next level. So how different do you feel from when you did it on your own till now?
Well, I know now that I know what I'm doing now, as opposed to doing something and not really knowing it.
Beautiful.
I like to use the example of, I now know how to cook.
Yes.
There's a difference in watching somebody cook and then them teaching you to cook. Because you can watch somebody make a cake, for instance. And actually, I love making cakes. I even have a couple of videos on my YouTube channel.
Okay.
But there are certain steps that are needed that to be taken. And if those steps aren't explained as far as what to do and when, you could just mimic somebody's technique, but you don't really know how to cook. If anything changes, you're lost. As opposed to I like to use the example. If you are a chef, I don't care who you're cooking for, like whether it's a group of 5-year-olds or a group of teenagers or a group of 30-year-olds or whether it's a group of senior citizens. If you know how to
Mhm.
cook, it doesn't matter who the audience is. You can craft a meal specifically for them. But if you're only used to cooking for 5-year-olds, you're going to have a hard time fixing something for senior citizens or for teenagers or for the middle age. Our training helped prepare us, it helped teach us how to prepare a well-crafted speech or presentation that is memorable and that people have takeaways. And I
Mm.
mean, it has definitely made a difference, even in how I approach speaking, even in how I approach preparing my message, even in how I approach, in fact, producing my outline. Les teaches as well as Ruben about the importance of doing research, finding
Yeah.
out, and they oftentimes says, don't let what you have to say get in the way of what they need to hear.
Mm.
So knowing your audience, knowing what they need to hear is important because it helps you to craft your message that's going to meet their needs, as opposed to you just going through your punch list. And there are
Yeah.
times when you may have a prepared speech, but the situation merits you changing it a little bit. And like I said, if you know how to cook, that's not a problem. That's not an issue. And that's
Right.
what that's what Ruben has been teaching us. All of our Black Girl speakers. I mean, giving us exercises, teaching us to think on our feet. I mean, it was just it was worth every penny.
Wow. I love that analogy because it's just, it's really helping me myself. Oftentimes I may go and have one thing on my mind, but when I get there, it just kind of changes up. And I said, I never want to be that robot. I never want to just go like step by step by step when it comes to speaking. As I'm sorry, word by word, if it's something I just practice, because something may come up later and it just may not be the right feel, or it may be a different feel for, based on the audience. So you kind of have to know your audience. And that's something I'm learning in Toastmasters, is knowing your audience, practicing what you need to do, researching what you're putting out there, because you want people to call you back. You want the referrals. Your goal is to get out there and speak to the world and not just your same group of people. What are some areas right now that you are focused on in your speaking, and some places you want to get into for people to be able to hear your message? So who's your target audience?
Well, currently my target audience is between the age of 20 and 40 years old,
Okay.
primarily those individuals who are in the entrepreneurial phase of life, those who are starting business or thinking about starting a business. Those are the individuals that, in fact, that I believe that I can help the most.
Mhm.
I wanted to make sure that even in my speaking and in my delivery, that I not only educate but I inform and empower. One of the biggest challenges that a lot of people have is, even as Les Brown has oftentimes said, the hardest thing he had to do was to believe that he could do what he's doing now. He says speaking is easy, doing it is easy. The hardest thing is to get past ourselves, and to get
Yes.
past those sort of hindrances that we have. And that's one of the reasons why I like to focus on personal development, because I don't care what type of person that you want to be professionally, you're going to bring a person into that.
Mhm.
And so understanding your background, understanding your strengths and your weaknesses, it helps you to better focus on those areas that need to be developed in order for you to grow and to actually be the level of person that you be the best version of yourself. And
So,
that's my focus. That's what I want to help people to do.
so someone comes up and says, Cicone, I'm ready to take it to the next level. I want to be a chef, but I just feel like there's a lot of obstacles that are hitting my way. People are telling me that I won't make it because I'm not an emerald, or I'm not a somebody on Top Chef, but I want to do this, but I have so much opposition that's in my ear. How can I break through that so that I can stay focused and I can keep going? What is some advice you would give that person?
Well, I would ask them a question. And that question is, how bad do you want
Yes.
it? And don't tell me, show me. Don't
Yes.
just say I want it. How bad do you want it? And I'm going to stand back and I'm going to look and see. Even with the example of being a chef, okay, have you invested in yourself in that area? You say you want to be one, but how bad do you want it? Are you trying to get an internship at a restaurant or going to culinary school? Or are you shadowing someone who has their own business? And have you expressed the fact that, okay, this is a passion of mine, this is what I want to do? I mean, I know that there are challenges that people face every day, financial, emotional, physical. But the question still stands, how bad do you want it? Are you going to let those things keep you from reaching your goal? Any and I can't help but think of Michael Jordan. If you would have went over to his coach and said, Coach, those other guys are keeping me from putting the ball in the hoop, he would look at him like he's crazy because that's their job. But the
Right.
question is, how bad do you want it? You have to find a way around the obstacles, a way past those even roadblocks. Like I said, if you want it bad enough, you'll find a way. And once people have settled in their heart, this is what I want to do. The
Yes.
question is, how do you do it? Because I want to do it. Now I just need to figure out how.
Yes. 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 And that's the first thing that came to my mind too before you even answered the question. Afterwards, I thought, how bad do you want it? You have to want it that bad. No,
Yeah.
no excuses. We have so many tools and so many resources as to getting information. And people say, well, I don't have a library card. Well, you have a phone, Google it. You can Google everything. Now, that's all they say. Even my dad doesn't even text. He's barely on a computer, and he's like, Kama, I need you to look up something. Google it. I'm like, Dad, you don't even Google, but he knows to Google it. And he's not on the computer at all. I go to his house and I do everything. But the research is there. It's there, and that's what is important. And then we have people such as yourself that's out there developing a personal development course and working on books and working on things so that you can help other people go after their goals and dreams and help them pursue their passion. So let's talk before we wrap up. Let's talk a little bit about your next project. What are you working on to get yourself out there, and what are some you have some upcoming speaking events, if I'm not mistaken? Is that you
Well,
have a couple of things going on?
I'm actually scheduled to speak at a local church here for their youth day, and I'm
Great.
excited about that. And
Congratulations.
and a lot of the stuff that I've learned from our Black Belt speaking series, I'm going to implement because I know the importance, as I said, of making an experience, especially for kids. You know, having them involved, doing a couple of illustrations, getting some audience participation. You know, having a couple of kids come up and help me because I really want them to be able to take something away. I had a chance, and this is on my YouTube channel as well, a couple of years ago, to actually speak at a church, and I shared something that I share with my kids, and that is basically three words, and I've broken them down into three age groups. And from birth to age 7 years old, the word that I found myself repeatedly telling my kids was wait, wait, just be patient, wait, just wait,
Yes.
just wait, just wait. Well, from age 8 to 14, the word from wait to think. Why did you do that? Well, I wasn't thinking. Why did you walk in the door in front of me and I got an arm full of groceries and you didn't hold the door? Because she wasn't thinking about anybody else but themselves.
Right.
So trying to get them not only to learn how to wait, but also think outside themselves. I've oftentimes said if it's not 3 feet from them and 5 minutes away, it's not on their mind. So trying to help them
Right.
expand their radar, think about tomorrow, next week, next month, next year. Because I keep telling them, say, y'all are always going to be here. I asked them a question. I said, do you wait till you get to school to get dressed for school? They said, no. I said, you wait till you get to church to put on your church clothes? They said, no. I said, you wait till you get in the pool to put on your swimsuit? They said, no, sir. I said, you always get ready somewhere else, right? They said,
Mm.
yeah. I said, well, you don't wait till you become an adult to learn how to be one.
Wow.
Now is the time, and this is the place where you learn the skills you're going to need to survive as an adult. I keep
Yes,
telling
yes,
myself we're
yes.
going somewhere with this. I'm not just being a mean ogre, but I'm trying to teach you things that are going to help you when you leave home. Because you are leaving home. You're not going to stay here the rest of your life. You're leaving the
Right,
house.
right,
I can
right.
speak to you. But I want you to succeed. The
Mhm.
last word that I say with them, the last word is responsibility. And that
Yeah.
goes from age 15 to 21.
Mhm.
If you learn how to wait and you learn how to think, you can take responsibility for your actions.
Yes.
Oftentimes, people get in trouble because they don't wait and they don't think. Then, of course, they don't want to take responsibility.
Right.
And so, those are some of the things that I try to help teach my kids. But as far as what's next for me, I'm currently working on on a book entitled "Are You Climbing the Wrong Mountain?"
Hmm.
And that book, that the whole concept for that came from a quote from Dr. Miles Monroe. And that quote was, "The greatest failure in life is to succeed at the wrong assignment." I'll say that again. The greatest failure in life is to succeed at the wrong assignment.
Wow.
And when I first heard that quote, the first thing that popped into my mind was someone standing on top of a mountain talking about, "I did it." But the caption at the bottom said, "But you're on the wrong mountain."
Wow.
And
Wow.
that that is a process that I think a lot of people find themselves in. They are doing things that they're not happy with, they're not satisfied with.
Mhm.
They have a passion in a certain area and they don't know how to actually make that transition and make that switch. And
Right.
so, like the course that I'm putting together and the workshop along with the book is going to help address those questions, deal with those issues so that people can. And see, the good thing about even climbing the wrong mountain is that you have mountain climbing skills.
Mhm.
So it's not a loss.
Right.
But on the wrong mountain, you can see the right one from the wrong mountain. And
Wow.
further, just even get halfway up. So there are there's a lot of information that I'm putting together. I'm actually having my black belt speaker family make some contributions as well, and
Mhm.
they have to fine tune everything for me. And I I can't tell you how excited I am because I believe that there are a lot of people who can identify even just with the statement, "Are you climbing the wrong mountain?" Because I know
Yeah.
that there are people they've asked themselves the question, "Am I doing what I was meant to do? Am I doing what I'm supposed to do?"
Right.
And see, and see, sometimes we find it easier just to stay on the wrong mountain as opposed to question ourselves as far as getting to the right one. So
Yes. Wow. That was that was great. I'm excited about that new book because that's very true. Today, as I was teaching the entrepreneur class, I had some of the kids thinking during the process during the class. I believe in being interactive. I don't like for them just to sit there and they watch and I'm doing all the talking. And
right.
because it's on entrepreneurship, I'm teaching them how to speak and express themselves as well. One of the boys that were sitting in there, he said he was just in a class to check it out to decide if he wants to actually be in the class or not. But after the class, he waited for me and waited for everybody that left. And then he started talking to me about how he has all this stuff going on. He said he can't pinpoint it right now because I was explaining that his passion, his purpose is going to be in his passion, whatever he's passionate about. He's like,
Right.
well, I'm passionate about everything. Like I can do everything. But I was explaining to him that it's important that he finds that one thing that'll help him in whatever it is that he wants to do. Like with me, it's helping people. So I know I can help people sell property. I can help people with my nonprofit I just started, through domestic violence. But I'm studying these things. I'm understanding these things. There's some people, I can't help somebody learn how to cook. I can teach my kids, but that's just because they're there, they're watching me, and I sometimes have to time take over. Or I can't teach somebody how to draw something because I'm not an artist, but I can help people in my capacity. And that's my thing. Stay in your lane. You got to stay in your lane. So I don't want to be on that wrong mountain and find out that I was climbing up here when I was supposed to be over here. So that's some great things that'll be coming for your new book, and I look forward to it. And also that analogy, I'm going to use this with my students next week in regards to goal setting, because that's what we're talking about next week, is goal setting. And one thing you said is about preparing. Do you get dressed at school? Do you get dressed at church? You know, that type thing. Same thing with goal setting. Are you going to set the goal when the business gets started, or are you going to set the goal before the business gets started, so you know where you're going? Because sometimes we just jump in, and guess what? We drown and we get lost. So that's excellent. I'm definitely going to share that with them as well. I'm trying to encourage them to watch some of these shows so they can see what it is I'm doing, and watch people such as yourself that's pursuing your passion. So with that said, I would like for you to leave the audience with just something that's some words of encouragement or some motivation. And then after that, let them know how they can get in contact with you.
Okay. Well, I do want to share with the audience the importance of silencing the voices in your head that are negative.
Yes.
It may sound like this voice, it may sound like your father's voice, it may be your grandparents. It may even sound like your own. It may sound like your spouse, or it may even sound like your ex. Don't allow the negativity that someone has said about you to hinder you from being all that God intended for you to be. I'm a man of faith, and I just believe that God created us all for a purpose. And I can't express that enough, that we are here for a reason, and that being able to identify that. I believe it was Mark Twain that said that the two most important days in a person's life is one, it was the day they were born, but the second one was the day they found out why. And that's my goal, to help people to understand why God created them, why God made them, why they're here. Because, I mean, to me, success is not success if you're not doing what God intended for you to do when he made you. I keep thinking about a $1,500 crystal punch bowl. It's ornate, it's so nice and so pretty, but someone's using it to drain the oil out of their car. Now, it'll hold the oil, but it wasn't made for that. And how many of us have gone through life and we are doing stuff that we weren't made to do? We were made for something greater, but yet we find ourselves being subservient or being less than we could be. And like I said, oftentimes our biggest obstacle is not external, but internal. Getting past ourselves, getting past our past in order for us to be the person that we were intended to be. And it takes courage. It takes courage to deal with the problems and like with the struggles of our past. But I tell you, it's worth it. It's worth being able to go beyond those heartaches, being able to go beyond those challenges, being able to keep going, because believe it or not, somebody's waiting on you. Somebody's waiting to hear you. Somebody's waiting on your business. Somebody's waiting on your doors to open. Somebody is looking for you. Somebody's waiting on that book that you're writing. Somebody's waiting on that play that you have. Somebody's waiting on that movie. Somebody's waiting. They're waiting on you. Don't leave them. Don't let them die without hearing your voice. And that's what I had to do even in my own life. I don't care what your gift, your passion is. Don't die with it. Leave it all on the table. Leave it all on the field. Don't go to your grave holding that treasure you have. Give it out. Because I tell you, in doing so, your life will be so much better. It'll be so much, you can inspire millions of people just by stepping beyond yourself into the place that God intended for you to be.
Wow, good job. I love it. I love it. I love it. Now let us know how we can get in contact with you.
Okay, well, you can reach me online. My website is ciconeprince.com. That's CiconePrince.com. On Twitter, at Cicone_Prince. I'm also on Facebook, facebook.com/Cicone Prince. My email address is Cicone@CiconePrince.com.
All right,
And
thank you. Go ahead.
I do have a gift for all of your listeners.
Okay.
If they email me at Cicone@CiconePrince.com, I will send them a copy of my ebook, Are You Smart Enough to Play Dumb? Free.
Oh, wow.
The subject, they need to put in the subject, Camel Speaks. And that way
Okay.
I know that they saw it on this webcast, and I'll be able to send it to them for free.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you so very much. I really appreciate what you were just talking about, because you were definitely speaking to me. I needed to hear what you had to say, trust me. And Les Brown, I was listening to him. I'm always talking about Les Brown because that's all I listen to just about, besides he and Eric Thomas. But he said, there's a lot of buried talent. There's billions and trillions of dollars in the grave. So don't take it with you. This is a time. Live life while you have it. Don't take it with you. It's too many other people that's in the grave right now that could have been a Les Brown. It could have been a Steve Jobs. That could have been an Oprah Winfrey. Steve Jobs can say that he lived his life to the fullest. And I'm sure he probably didn't expect to pass when he did, but he definitely, in the time that he was living, he lived it to the fullest. He became a billionaire just through what he was doing. So go after your goals, go after your passion. Don't let, like he said, don't let those voices in your head tell you what can't be done. Know who you are, love who you are, and know that you can do all things through Christ that strengthens you. Thank you all for watching Kama Speaks. If you want to get in contact with me, you can find me all over social media. You can just at Kama Speaks, Kama Speaks. Also, you can subscribe to my YouTube page. I just finished up my fundraiser. I talked about it last week. It was a success, so that I can send off my information off to the IRS to get my 501(c)(3). I'm looking forward to doing more great shows. I'm looking to interview more great people. I want to say a special thanks to Ruben West for providing me some great speakers or great guests these last couple of weeks. Thank you so much for Cicone. Again, we've been Facebook friends, and we get linked via Ruben West, which is a great thing. He has his black belt speakers. I don't know if doors are open for him, but you can definitely go to his website. I think is it rubenwest.com? I'll have it up here for you if you want to talk to him further, because he is definitely producing some powerful speakers, and this won't be the last that you'll hear from him. All right, with that said, remember, I always say, no matter what you do in life, always pursue your passion.